Hi there, Mark here again, and welcome to this video, which is part 4 of my build guide for the Tamiya Hotshot. And we got to step 24 last time, so we got this far. And as step 25 is just charging up the battery, we'll jump straight in to step 26, which is attaching the servo saver. Now, as it shows here, it shows centering up the servo, so connect all your radio gear up and make sure the servo is in neutral. If you don't do that now, you will have trouble later. First of all, you need to find the part that fits your servo, which is going to be one of these S parts S4 to S7. This one is the one that fits mine. Then you need a plastic spring, which is S6, and you've got to fit that over like that. Then you've got red plastic part E8 that just clips in there, like so, and plastic washer S1, which goes in the centre. And as it shows in the diagram here, you need to line up your servo as in the picture, and then fit your servo saver onto the splines with those two holes on the saver pointing straight down, and then put in the screw that fits your servo. Okay, on to step 27, which is simply making up your two steering rods. All you have to do is screw on parts MT1, one on each end, and make sure that they are at 90 degrees to each other. As you can see there, there's the hole, and the hole's at 90 degrees to it there. Just screw them onto the bars, MP3 and MP4, and just match them up to the diagram. So there's the two finished steering rods. Step 28 is attaching the servo stay, and for this you need to measure the dimensions of your servo from the bottom of this bracket here to the top of the servo body. So just get your measurement. Mine's about 11mm, so if it's more than 8 you can fit part E7 in this orientation, and if it's less than 8mm, turn it round and fit it in that orientation. And it's just held on by one BC4 3x10 tap-in screw that's got kind of a built-in washer. So that's one part E7 fitted to each side, and now we've just got to put on the ball connectors, which is an MB2, and there's one for each of the holes in the servo saver. Okay, so there you go, and then you've just got to attach those steering arms and make sure you put the longer one on the left hand side and obviously the shorter one on the right hand side. And it should look like this when you're finished. Step 29 is attaching the RC equipment, so you need this bottom tray or mechanism box as it calls it. First of all, I'm going to attach the servo, so put that in place. Then you've got this silver 2.6 by 10mm screw with a 3mm washer, and put it in the single hole first and get that done up. And when that's done, you can get your other screw and fit it into the slotted hole. That slot's obviously to cater for servos with slightly different widths. Okay, so once that's done, you've got to get your receiver and your ESC and stick it into the box with double-sided tape, so I'll just get that done off camera. So there you go, that's my electronics fitted. So you just hold the cables down with a tie wrap, one on each side. Then you need one of these pieces of sponge sheet, and that just fits across the back, I think, like that. And then to finish this step, you just need two BB7s, which are body mounts. There's a hole in the head, so get them screwed in like that. So one over here and one on this side, and just make sure that the holes in the heads there are aligned across like so. Just one thing to note before we move on to the next step is you can see that I've attached or swapped out the original switch to this ESC to an old larger Tamiya style one. I think I stole this off an old TBL EO2 that was blown up, because without this big switch that has got the holes in it so you can screw it into the body, it's going to be right tricky to get the original switch to fit. So yeah, that's why I've swapped that out. So step 30 is attaching that mechanism box we've just done. The first thing is to get the switch and try and get that fitted to the upper deck or the main chassis, so try and wheedle it into position. You've got your two tiny little 2mm screws with a 2mm washer, and just try and get that fitted. Okay, that was a bit fiddly, but yeah, seems to be okay, works okay, and it's fitted okay. So now we've got to get the rest of this box on. It does sort of clip into place loosely. Then we get four 20mm, the darker screws, and they go in the back there and there. A bit tricky to get lined up, but obviously once they do get lined up, we just get them tightened up. The next two 20mm long screws, it's one in that hole and one in this hole, and then the two longer 27mm screws go right at the front here, like so. So yeah, that's the 6 screws done up, and I don't know why they're 27mm long at the front there, those two. I think the 20mm ones would have been adequate, but anyway, yeah, they're done now, and on to step 31. In step 31 we're going to attach the front bumper, so you need parts C1 and C2. These are these two. The first thing we're going to do is fit these two together with these 3x8 screws, just the 2 screws. Like so. I've got to say, this is the hardest front bumper I've ever come across. It's very tough plastic. Then we get the chassis. You need to pop on the ball ends for the steering as well, so just pop those on. Offer the bumper up into place. And you've got a tiny 3x6 screw, machine screw with a spring washer and a 3mm washer on, and that goes into that metal piece in the chassis. And it does show applying a bit of thread lock onto that, which I have done. And then you've got your two 3x12 screws with a kind of built-in washer again, and they just go in at the back. And one on the other side, like that. And step 32 is just setting the toe in using the adjustable rods there. I've just got a tiny bit of toe in on mine, and I think that will do. Step 33 is making up the roll bar. The first thing you've got to do is you've got to cut out this netting. You can use this template here and cut it to size, and then you've got to fit that onto the frame rails, which is parts A2 and B3. Here's the one side. You can see I've already fitted it on with these black nylon bands. So I'll just get on and fit this one onto this side here. Okay, and with both of those done, we can fit the two halves together now using 8 3x12 self-tapping screws, plastic part A1, which goes in between these 2 points at the back. So we'll get one side attached first. So that shorter part was part A1, then you need parts B1, the 3 of those, and the first one goes here. And then we want one up here, and the last one in this hole. Now we've got all 4 connected, we can simply offer up the other side and use the 4 screws to make the roll cage. I've got to say, it's a bit fiddly, like a lot of this Hotshot build, but not difficult, just a bit fiddly. Okay, so there we go. Don't do these up too tight because this plastic is very soft and it's easy to spin the screws in the plastic itself. So there you go, there's the roll cage done. In step 34 we're just going to attach the roof using 4 of the white nylon bands. I'll just get that on. So there we go, it's attached. As usual with this build, it was a lot fiddlier than it looks, but yeah, it's on now. So now we're going to attach this to the actual chassis. So the main thing to note is that the anti-roll bar has got to fit into these slots in the roll cage. So you've got to get that wrestled into the right place. There we go. And you could pop those down into the holes. These pop into the holes at the front here. And we've just got a few screws to get in now. Well, it just shows putting these 2 3x8s in here, but I'm going to put all the 3x8s in one go now. So I'll just get this one started and then I'll show you where the other 5 go. Okay, so that's the 6 3x12s in. So the first one is in here. Then you've got this one, which is kind of underneath that connector. You can see that there. Then you've got one underneath here, and then the same on the other side. So there's 1, 2, you can just about see that one there, and number 3. And we just secure the front with 2 3x8 screws. So there's one there, and the last screw is going to go in that hole just there. And with that, the roll cage will be fitted. And to finish this step, we just need to pop on the access cover and secure it with an R-pin. Well, there we go. Step 35 is just making up these dummy heat sinks. There's 2 of them, there's one done. It's really simple. You just need the black plastic parts, A6 and B8, and get your MD14 aluminium part. Just push it through the plastic piece, and then you've got this C-ring that just pops over the end. Again, easier said than done, and just sits into the groove and holds it in place. Step 36, you're just going to fit those onto the roll cage and then put in this part C5 with a nylon band. So your dummy heatsink just fits over onto that hole there with a BC4 screw with a built-in washer, obviously one on each side. And plastic part BB3 isn't held on by a zip tie, it's held on by a 2.6 by 10 bright screw, and that screw is going to go into this hole here that's on the kind of battery holder. And with that part in place, you can use a band then, or a zip tie, to hold those cables nice and tidy, like so. Step 37 is attaching the battery plate, which is this. It's a fibre plate, so I have coated the edges with some CA glue just to seal it in. And as you can see, there's 2 pieces of foam that you put on here to stop the battery from rubbing. And you've also got to attach one of these pieces of foam onto the chassis. It does say cut it in half, but I'm not going to bother. So that foam just fits in here. And just get the battery plate, put it over those 2 pins in the chassis, and then we've got 2 8mm long 3mm screws that screw into that red piece of plastic that's a pivot. So I'll just get those 2 screws done up. Okay, so as you can see now, that does pivot like so, and we can just clip in the front of the plate with 2 little R clips. So, and that will hold the battery in place, hopefully. And I've already installed the 2 3x12 screws into the back or the bottom of that roll cage. Step 38 is simply attaching your tyres onto your wheels, which I've already done. You just slip them on, nice and easy. And the final step that we're going to cover in this part of the guide is 39, which is just putting those wheels on and then fitting the antenna. So let's get this out of the way. Obviously the wider of the 2 wheels goes at the back. Simply a case of getting your little 2x10 shaft, just popping that through the hole in the axle. Plastic part E3, that just fits over that shaft. It just clicks right into place, and then it's just a case of popping your wheel on and then your 4mm lock nut. And obviously just make sure that the 3 lugs in this part fit through the holes in the wheel, and repeat for the other 3 wheels. So there we go, and it's finally looking like a real buggy now. It's got all the wheels on. I'm really chuffed with the way this has come out. The last thing then, you get the choice of, you got the plastic antenna, but seeing as they've given us this nice metal one in the kit, I'm going to fit that and wind my aerial around that. So we just pop it in this hole and hold that in place with this 3x6 machine screw that just goes in from underneath. And as I said, just wind the aerial around it. If you've got an old 27 meg air roll like I have. And as it's been quite a long video so far, I'm not going to do the bodywork now. I shall save that for the last part of the guide. So if you've got this far, thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it and hope to see you on the bodywork video. Cheers.